All right, up there it says June 15th at 1 o'clock. That's today. And I want to take a hot second to talk to you about gear. Not this gear, but some thoughts, because I don't know about you, but I also just noticed that several gimbals just got released, because there's at least a dozen or more videos in my subscription feed, and they're all talking about how amazing the gimbals are. And you know how that goes with gear. Something new releases and they're like, oh, it's the best, and you have to wonder. Anyway, I thought I'd share some thoughts because I have a gimbal story for you. I also have a dreadful mess here in the office, and so I thought I'd clean up and talk to you at the same time. So let's get into this. So the first part of this story is about 3 years ago. I bought the Ronin S, the original, the plain old, simple, boring one, right? And it had been out for a little while when I bought it, but I still bought it brand new for like, I want to say $800. It was the Essentials kit, and then I also bought some accessories for it to make sure it was, you know, the best thing I thought I needed at the time to get all these smooth shots and do amazing stuff with, right? Now, over the last 3 years or so that I've had it, I've probably used it a dozen or so times, not really enough to justify the $800 purchase. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it was heavy and it took forever to set up. It, you know, all that balancing and stuff, and especially with heavy lenses and the cameras that I owned, just wasn't working out. I noticed that for the last year and a half, it's just been sitting on the shelf. And when something sits on the shelf and collects dust, what do you do with it? You sell it. That's what I did 2 weeks ago. I sold it for only $200 because that's the most you can get from a Ronin S right now, even with all the accessories and everything basically being hardly used. It's kind of sad. That's a $500 loss. That's a lot of money to lose. Woo! Nearly fell off the ladder. But anyway, that's the point I wanted to share, is that you buy something brand new, the chances of you making it back full price, ow! The chances of you making that back full price are slim to none. So you have to keep that in mind when you see all these new pieces coming out, right? Or maybe you should be keeping that in mind. Maybe people don't. Is it actually going to be worthwhile? How do you figure out? I put it upside down. Some of us were not born smart. By the way, I love these clamps. They are so useful. These will never be sold unless I stop filming altogether. Beautiful backlight. So it comes down to this. If you buy the latest piece of tech, and say it's a gimbal, and within a year they're announcing a new one that has some sort of new feature, menu system, I don't know what. Your brand new, you paid full price, is now like you're not even gonna make half of it back. So most likely you're going to lose a large sum of that investment. So what can you do to avoid this? Because this happens every time, like today, that there's 2 new gimbals from 2 different brands that come out. There's gonna be a whole bunch in October. You know this happens all the time. Lights, cameras, lenses, everything. They all come out in the last few months of the year because they want you to buy for Christmas. The first step to recovery is, I guess you could call it simple, is you need to go through a layer of questions to ask yourself to really determine, is this new piece of whatever it is really something I need? That way you don't end up wasting the money and figuring it out the hard way. I feel like I'm not getting a lot of cleaning done because I'm trying to talk and clean, and my brain can't do those things at the same time. So, hold please. Oh, these things are so huge. Just so stiff. First try. Whew. At least it feels a little cleaner. I feel like this is crooked. Shooting on my iPhone, by the way, and just using a cheap lav mic. So the questions you need to ask yourself. I'm just going to quickly go through ones that I can think of off the top of my head. So first of all, you got to think of which situations are you shooting with this product in, whether that's a gimbal, a light, a microphone, whatever. What situations? Are you doing weddings? Are you doing YouTube stuff? Are you doing corporate pieces? Think of the situations, write them down so that way you just have them fresh in your mind, and think of what you do in those situations, what you need. Do you need a microphone that's easy to hook up, like a lav mic? That way the person can walk around. Or do you need a boom mic, a high quality one, because they're often in kind of loud and echoey places? That's just an example of thinking through the situations, right? The next thing you need to answer is, how often do I see myself using this and or have something like it that I've used in the past? That's a great one, because if you know you're not often switching up your lights or microphones, or you've bought stuff in the past that were problems, remember them now so you can get over the like, wow, what's a new product? It's so amazing. Look at this awesome video that's telling me all about it. But you can also reel yourself back in and kind of say, yeah, but you know, I had a gimbal before and I didn't use it much with these types of work that I'm shooting. That's why you start with what do you do for work, or what are you going to do for work? That's helpful. Another helpful question could be, what is your actual budget? We all kind of imagine like an endless budget, but yeah, we all have budgets. So the new thing might come out, just keep in mind, like, how much can you realistically spend and or make back, profit using this product? If it's not gonna profit you a lot, don't try to convince yourself that it is. That's a really big mistake. I feel like I did that with the gimbal. I said, oh, everybody else talks about these smooth shots you can get and how amazing it is. But then shortly after that, there was the RS2 Ronin, and I was like, oh, mine's obsolete now. Or people were using one wheels with the gimbal to get super smooth shots. And I go, ooh, is that my problem? Now, I didn't buy a one wheel, but see how it can spiral out of control. Suddenly your one piece of gear that you maybe bought now have is suddenly still not good enough, and that's why your skills are suffering. And see, that's the biggest problem. I think that's really the root of all this. People want a piece of gear to level up their skills, obviously the quality of their work, but what ends up really making those things better isn't always the latest piece of gear. Sometimes it really is just working on your storytelling, or it is working on mastering composition and lighting and audio, more than it's just getting the latest piece of tech. Now, sometimes the gear can be helpful, and that's why you got to walk through some questions saying, what am I shooting? How often am I shooting it? What is my budget? Realistically, is this going to fit my needs? Maybe actually finding people who do honest reviews, who do the line of work that you're doing, because they might be able to help you see some flaws ahead of time. Now, I don't want to drag this out any further, but the point is, gear is really important. Yes, it helps us create, but people have created amazing pieces that have touched people with no gimbals, with no sliders, with hardly anything. So don't think you need absolutely everything, you know? Now, don't mind me while I go buy the latest something. Just kidding. Although I did buy myself a lens. It's a used lens. I bought it off of Gear Focus. So if you're looking to buy used gear to save some money, not buying the latest, greatest stuff, you could try Gear Focus. I'm not affiliated with them or anything like that, but just letting you know. It's my first time buying off Gear Focus, so we're going to see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well. All right, bye.